The weekly market update, Bitcoin went on an absolute rampage, running from 115K right through to 122K as the bulls really got in control with the Bitcoin market. And it went on a surge, which was a really good run before running into that resistance point of around the 120K mark and falling slightly back to 117K. You can see what the general predictions were when you look at the technical analysis. They believe that 120K point was a pretty important area, and if it broke through that 120K area, a quick push to around 140 to 150K was on the cards. But for now, it's going to be dipping back slightly. Their prediction was 111 to 114K was the pushback. I don't think it's going to go back that far, but for now, Bitcoin has settled a bit. And the reasons really for that Bitcoin push was a lot of energy being built up over time, as it kind of stayed in this area just below the 115K mark. But as you can see, Trump's pro-crypto policies have really put a good push on Bitcoin and increased its industrial demand and institutional demand. The other thing is naturally supply and demand. Naturally, whales are going to be getting involved. We're seeing BlackRock, one of the biggest players, continue to push into Bitcoin ETF and become one of the fastest to reach 80 billion in position. The general news is that Bitcoin basically has had a short-term slowdown, but there's no real sign that this is going to be stopping anytime soon. The bulls truly are in control right now, and I see Bitcoin running really quickly through the races and can quickly get to 150 by the end of this year as the bulls continue to control the market. The other big news is silver, one of my favorites, has basically gone on another rampage and ran through a 13-year high to $38 USD, basically backed by the huge institutional demand for silver, and right now the complete lack of supply. The Silver Institute reporting that the ETPs have been getting a lot of demand with 95 million ounces in demand, and basically it's surpassed the total of all of last year already. However, what we're seeing is that at the end of the day, the retail industry is still well and truly behind. And the issue is, I still think people are not understanding how bullish silver is as an investment. It's got that safe haven element of being able to keep you safe and keep up with inflation, but it's got a massive industrial side to it because of how good it is in practical use with electric vehicles, solar panels, and AI and all other digital products. You can see here, it still lags behind the retail silver investment side. We're seeing that people aren't awake since that 2020, 2022 period. And you can see that with one kind of shaky period, silver can run really quickly and go on a 100% growth period really quickly. So I want people to understand that there is an opportunity here and you really need to be able to take it. It seems that Indian investors have been able to take the opportunity to be able to get silver. There's been a 70% year-over-year gain over the first 6 months of 2025, and there's still plenty of opportunity in this asset, even though it's at an all-time high, as the gold to silver ratio still remains just under 90, meaning it's an absolute bargain. Meanwhile, gold hasn't had as much of the love. It's been kind of steady lately, but the US credibility continues to crumble as they continue to print more and more. And there is a clear pathway where we can see gold easily push out to $4,000 USD. And I believe that as long as Jerome Powell is there at the Fed, there's going to be more issues down the line. There are initial talks now about gold revaluation happening in order to cover this huge debt pile that basically the US has. And by being able to revalue gold and reback it to the currency, it'd be able to solve a lot of problems. However, truly, although they're saying the US is the largest holder of gold, I don't believe it. And I don't see a revaluation happening, as simply the US doesn't have the gold supply available. And as BRICS continues to form now at 21 nations strong, I don't believe the US now has this capability anymore to be able to do some kind of revaluation. But if a revaluation was to happen, we'd see something like a 25,000 to 50,000 US per ounce for gold, which would just be ridiculous. I'm probably sending the metal markets into an absolute frenzy, but I don't see this happening. More general news, we know that Donald Trump's continuing to call for a rate cut. He's been screaming about this since April, and now in July, it doesn't look like it's changing. He knows that there's an opportunity to get these rates down and be able to push through some money and be able to get the American superpower going again. And truly, I believe Jerome Powell's under pressure. If you look at the United States and where it's at compared to other countries, it is at the relatively high side. We're seeing now Switzerland has just gone to zero on their interest rate as they continue to really struggle. And I believe that, as in previous times with Jerome Powell, when he's under pressure, he does tend to fold. And when he folds, we're going to be seeing the age-old money printer machine come on again as he continues to lower the interest rates and quantitative easing. In terms of what that means for us, it means Bitcoin, gold, and silver will continue to go on a run. And in this next period, I do believe that we're going to see 1 or 2 rate cuts before the end of the year as the US gets going again. So truly, based on this week, I do believe the markets are in our favor. I'm pretty bullish about where things are going, and I believe that Bitcoin has a really strong run going forward, as well as gold and silver. I'm going to be continuing to do these short weekly updates where I go over the general news and bring my general thoughts on what I think is happening and what maybe you could consider about this. Subscribe and like if you want to see more of these weekly updates. You'll see it every week where I just go over the general news and what I think is happening going forward. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.